Hi there, Addy here from TorontonianOnline.com, here with another property that we just came about. This property got listed about 2 days ago, and it took a little while for me to get all the financials. The reason I like this property is for the price point that it has, price per unit, and there is a potential upside to it, and we'll get into details of it, so let's check out the numbers. Again, it's in East York, it's in the Woodbine and O'Connor area. It has 6 units in it, so it's a legal sixplex. You have an asking price of $775,000. Price per unit works out to $129,166. Now I'm going to be very careful because last time I made a video, a couple of you mentioned that I'm speaking too fast. So I'm going to try to slow it down a little bit. Last time I had 2 properties to review. This time it's 1, so we'll just take it easy. So if you were to get a first mortgage on it, the amount at 25% down works out to $581,000. At a 4% interest rate and 25-year amortization, your mortgage per month is $3,057. Again, that's 25% down. Let's go through the expenses. You have $54.14 in taxes per year. You have $2,200 in insurance. Gas is $3,500. Water is $2,400. $2,400 is fictitious. This number was never provided, so I've added that in there. It's a little bit low in my opinion, but I think it's a good starting point. Hydro is really, really high, $84.88, which works out to $1,415 per unit. And maintenance and repair, which includes your landscaping, your snow removal, and an annual service on the furnace. The owner is meticulously maintaining the property, so there were a couple items that they had pointed out that actually looks very positive. It works out to $2,400 a year. Total expenses for the year is $24,000. Now on the income side, we have 2 1-bedrooms and 4 2-bedrooms. So for the income for the 2 1-bedrooms, one is for $600 and the other one is for $630. Works out to $1,230, and then the 4 2-bedrooms work out to $34.38. Monthly income $46.60. Average per unit $776. So total rounding, as you can see, $46.60 per year is $55,920. In order to close this property, you would need to have land transfer tax, obviously, and the exuberant tax that Toronto has, which is the Toronto land transfer tax. Legal fees of $5,000. Again, this is very, very conservative, very, very high number. There's a lot of padded number. Building inspection, if you choose to, you can get anywhere between $300 to $800. Mortgage brokerage fees, and then the lending fees. Usually, if you're going with a private lender, they would ask anywhere between 1 to 2% in lending fees. I have 1.5% listed over here. Because a lot of the mortgage brokers don't get compensated by private lenders, we have a mortgage brokerage fee, which is 2% that is added in here. Now, if you can find mortgage brokers that will do it for much less, but at the end of the day, you need somebody that can do it. Some lenders will require an engineering report on the property, so there's $1,000 that are budgeted in here. And some will also require an environmental inspection. I haven't included that in here, but it starts anywhere from $3,000. So total closing costs that you would require is about $50,000. Total cash requirement would be about $245,000. Now, going on to the other side, we have vacancy rate of 3% added in here, but it's in this area it's about 1.5. But 3% gives you a lot of buffer. Less the operating expense, so that your net operating income works out to $29,840. With your mortgage payment, it actually has a negative cash flow of $68,4929. Principal after the principal recapture, it's positive by $7,032. Now, why did I pick this property? I've expanded our report a little bit with some more information, including the property details, as well as some data that would actually help you gauge. If I just scroll back, I'll show you something here. The expense to income ratio is at 45%. So that's really, really high. As you know, historically, we want to see that number anywhere between 20 to 35%. That's where it has to be. With 35% if the landlord is paying for utilities. In this case, it's really, really high. So the cap rate working out to 3.85. Now, there are 2 ways of removing this number. It's either increasing the income and decreasing your expenses. So those are the 2 ways. Now, if you look at the average per CMHC in that area for a 1-bedroom is $921. The seller is charging $830. So those are 2 units, and they're significantly below. The other thing is the 4 bedrooms are supposed to be in the 1,168 range, whereas the seller is actually charging $800, $830. The highest one is for $900. So the potential for this property should be somewhere around $6,500 a month. Versus, I'm just going to scroll back. Sorry to make you dizzy. $46.60 that is currently it's making. So there's a significant improvement you can make. There's $24,000 of additional revenue that is sitting on the table that is not being accounted for. Now, looking a little bit more in detail, it has 5 outdoor parking spots. There's no rent being charged, so you can actually generate rent on that as well. The lot size is 40 by 120. It's a brick construction in the 1960s. It's got radiator heat, which is paid by the landlord, so that's why you see the heating expense. The laundry is owned, from what I see. Again, I'm not sure, and it's coin operated, and there's no income that is stated, so that's another income revenue that you can generate. The roof is 4 years old. I wasn't sure about the water tank, the furnace, the units, what they were. The windows are all thermal and they were recently updated. And then in terms of what is in the units, I wasn't really sure because there's not a lot of information provided. The lease type that they had were 1 year when they started. Most of them are on month to month right now, with the exception of one that just started up and they're on $900 and it's a 1 year lease. So in terms of appliances that are owned, there's 6 fridge, 6 stove, and there's an intercom there. There are no sprinklers there. I wasn't able to find out if the lobby was updated, the garage. Well, in this case, there is no garage. The age of driveway, I wasn't able to get that information. There are 3 hot water tanks there, and they're owned. There is no individual hydrometers, and the hydro is paid by the landlord. So because the number was so high, you can actually reduce the expense by adding hydrometers. A lot of them actually have a master disconnect in the electrical room. So if you were to go out and have hydrometers installed for them, you wouldn't have to do any additional wiring per se, as long as they comply with the code, obviously. But if you don't have to do any additional wiring, it should be relatively simple and cheap to add new meters there. And that way you can pass the burden on to the tenants for their hydro. There is no elevator there. The CVA, so the current value assessment based for taxing purposes, is $702,000, and the property is getting listed for $775,000. Shows you how good of a price that they have. Plumbing is galvanized and copper. The building size is 4,800 square feet. There is a basement, and that's where you have your utilities and your laundry room. There are no balconies there. There is future development possible, but you need to have a little bit bigger lot. The property zoning is residential, and I couldn't find any information in regards to tenant lockers or bicycle stands. I hope this is sufficient information. There's a lot more available. If you give me a call at 1-877-439-2339, I'd be more than happy to go over the details with you. Or you can email me, Addy@heyaddy.com. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.